Oh, hey, welcome back. With your last fight coming in December, is it nice to get back in here a little quicker this time?
It is. Having been forced to be able to take a bit of time off in 2017, it's nice to be able to fight more regularly now. So this will be my third fight in the space of a year. So it's good to be able to fight regularly.
Now, a lot was made of the weight cut with the ESPN article
Yep.
coming out. I think you said you're 156 today?
That was yesterday morning.
Okay, where are you doing?
So today I did a little bit of a session with my nutritionist, and I was 152.2.
Now, is that on par with previous fights? You pretty much...
We're ahead of schedule, so it's really great. It definitely is beneficial not having to add in an extra flight on the Thursday morning, but we're ahead of schedule, and I'm excited to have a easier weight cut, and it's on par to be like the easiest yet. I think that extra flight definitely threw a spanner in the works. A lot of factors involving that, like the early morning, the body holding water from the flight, but we made it work. And if you've read the article, it is not an easy cut for me. At 6 foot tall, I'm a big girl. I have a lot of muscle, and it is hard for me to physically, walking around so heavy naturally. It is not a easy task, but I do it super healthily. I have the best nutritionist in the game, Tyler Mitten, and I don't think I would be able to make weight without him. I just don't have that type of knowledge myself, so I would rather put it in the hands of somebody who does.
Now let's talk about the matchup. Felicia Spencer and yourself, both former Invicta champions. You guys did a face-off in the cage too about a year ago
Yeah.
in Invicta. What are your thoughts on her as an opponent?
Yeah, we did. I think that was like her 2 fights ago. She fought Helena Kolesnik in Kansas City. I was there, cage side. And she brings great skills to the table. She has an interesting style that we're excited to shut down. She's young in the sport. I was in her position 2 fights ago fighting Holly, and I know what it's like. She wants to find a name for herself. She wants to introduce herself to a new fan base, make a statement, and we're ready to shut all of that down. It's different levels when you come to the UFC. I found out with Holly, and I think she's going to find that out too. That the difference in our opponent skill level is significantly different.
Now, with that having been said, is it exciting to see the UFC finally sign some featherweights? Because it's not just Felicia. We've got Bia and Duda coming up, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited that they're finally signing featherweights. It took a while, but we got here, and I'm excited just to see how this division grows in the next year or so. I hope it starts getting more hype behind it, and I feel like our job as females in the featherweight division is to showcase there are stars in this division. We are exciting, we put on great fights, we put on great performances, and I hope that the brass can see that and they really start investing in it.
Is the weight cut the worst part about the job for you?
It's definitely not pleasant, but that's the heart. That's when you think of it all in terms of like an 8-week fight camp, it's like every day, 2 or 3 times a day for 6 days a week, grueling training sessions. You're dieting. You're making sure that you're eating the right things. You're putting your body through physical and mental and emotional exhaustion on the mats, trying to be the best martial artist, preparing for a fight. And for us, the weight cut is the final hard process. So for us, once that weight is made, it's fun from there. That's the last of the job, because I love what I do, and I love stepping in the cage and fighting, and that's all fun for me, and that's a bonus. So the weight cut is the last real hard
It sounds like you said it's
task.
the last awful thing in a list of horribly awful things.
Yeah, and I recently watched Ronda Rousey's sit down with Megan O'Leary. She said it really well. MMA is different. A fight camp, it's the stress and anxiety of a fight camp is different to anything else that you can kind of in sporting environment. When you're on a basketball team, you have so many other people that you run. You have 100 something, I don't actually know, but 100 and something games a year. Whereas with MMA, you maybe fight 2 or 3 times a year, but like you have 8 weeks or 6 weeks preparing for that fight, and you think about it every single waking moment. You go to sleep thinking about it. Your training and everything you do is focused solely on that, and that does, like, it does wear on you over time. And I think the good thing for us is we have a really good team, that we make it fun. Like we take that stress away. Like we know we work hard and the results are going to speak for themselves, and you know, that's what I know which is going to happen on Saturday night.
Because you say it wears on you so much, I mean, is this something that you picture yourself doing when you're 40 years old?
I definitely don't see myself fighting at 40 years old. That's 11 years away. No way. That means I will be in the sport for 17 years. And I see myself being involved in the sport, but I definitely don't want to be fighting at 40. You know, at 29, I'm still hitting my peak and hitting my physical prime, so I definitely have a long time left, but I definitely don't see 11 years.
And I throw that number out because it seems like that's the magical sports age where it's like...
Maybe for Daniel Cormier.
Yeah, but like over that hump, you know, you have people like us asking, hey, when are you thinking about hanging them up?
Yeah.
You know, and regardless of whatever sport it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely, like, I haven't thought about like a magical number, but I definitely am trying to set myself up for when I decide, whenever that is, happens. So that's why I'm trying to do, you know, stuff with Laura and our YouTube channel, and trying to do more analyst or commentating type of stuff, and really build my profile outside of MMA, because I don't want to be one of those type of people that gets to that point in my life and I don't want to fight anymore. I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? I don't have anything. I don't know what I'm good at or anything. So that's why I'm trying to play it smart now and build myself now so I can have success later.
You mentioned the analyst role. You've got your debut coming up for Warfare Sports,
Yes.
I believe. How'd that come about?
They reached out to me. It was actually after my last fight, because I've been a big believer in, I think athletes should have media training, and I think that it's super important because you don't want to get in a position where you're main eventing, co-main eventing, and you just don't know how to respond with journalists. You don't know how to, you know, get your point across the best way. So I'm a big believer that people should have, particularly fighters, should have experience with, media. And they kind of reached out to me like, oh, well, like we have this opportunity if you're really interested, and we kind of set that up that way. So that was really cool.
When's your debut date?
I think it will be the 29th of May.
All right, well, looking forward to that. Looking at this division now, I mean, do you see this almost as a #1 contenders fight? You're both former champions. There's not a lot of bodies in the division. Presumably, Nunez might still get Cyborg, but outside of that, it would seem like the winner of this.
To be honest, I'm not really thinking about that. My soul, like everything that I'm focusing on is on Saturday night. Everything will happen like afterwards, and I think people get fixated on what's next, and that's a big mistake in the sport because look at Jacare Souza. Every time he's been like, you get this win, you get a title shot, he's lost. Same thing happened when he fought Whitaker, and the same thing happened recently when he fought Jack Hermanson. So I don't ever want to look past any opponent. My success, like my hard work will see me be successful, and then my success will dictate what happens next. But everything is all on Saturday night.
You dial it back to the Holly Holm fight.
Yep.
And talked about everything that goes into a 6 or 8 week fight camp, and then you had that big disappointment. There's so much talk about what you learn as a fighter through winning. What did you learn through that process, that disappointment of a big time loss like that?
I am my own worst critic, so whether I win or lose, I'm always not disappointed in myself, but I'm always like, oh, I could have done this better, I could have done that better. Holly has a phenomenal amount of experience, not just in MMA, but in sports across mixed martial arts, like in general. She has a lot of kickboxing experience, a lot of boxing experience. And I'm grateful that I was able to share the cage with someone like her. And I feel like I learnt more from those 15 minutes than I had in my previous, however many fights. She's a phenomenal athlete, and I'm lucky to be able to have had that moment with her. But like you said, I definitely learnt a lot from that fight. And, for us, it's not more of like, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that. Like we are wanting to be the best martial artists that I can be. So that's working on all of my game, like in all aspects. And when we go into fight camps, we might tweak things for opponents, but in the long term, it's more of like, you know, just building and leveling up my game as a whole in general without like being specific to a certain opponent, because it's not really about them, it's about us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.